Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, welcome to Culturized. It is me, Makani. This is a space that we created, just to share culture, whether it's social, whether it's native, whether it's ethnic. I truly believe if we learn a little bit about each other's culture, we're all going to be better off with each other. And that's what it's all about. Again, we remind you, a lot of people say, well, what is culture? If there's 10 or more people, according to a dictionary, if there's 10 or more people doing, believing, and practicing the same things, that's a culture. And today I'm excited. Let me just set this and of my next guest. I'm gonna say where our relationship started, and it's probably gonna date us, so don't judge. It was 1986, Maui County Fair, entertainment tent, introducing one of Maui's hottest upcoming reggae artists. This guy comes up on the stage. The dreads were there, and the music kicked off, and I was just like, now mind you, fresh from Lanai, and I was like, whoa. That person on stage, fast forward all the way today, ladies and gentlemen, Marty Dread. How are you, brother?
What's up, dude? So good, man. It's so good to see your face.
It's so crazy because I clearly remember Maui County Fair.
Was that Brown Bags to Stardom? Because
I
86, I would have been in high school still.
yeah, I
So
don't
maybe it was
know.
Brown Bags.
Probably because all I remember was I think at the time I went to Lahaina Luna, so we were kind of in charge of the entertainment tent, and all I remember was standing on the side, and they were introducing this young Maui boy, and he's reggae, and now mind you, we're growing up on Lanai, that was about the time I first started to discover reggae music, right?
Got you.
And you came on stage, and I was just like,
There's a
whoa.
reggae guy.
Yeah, but the fact that you're from Maui, and I was blown away, and that was probably my first introduction to you. Um, Prior to '86, you said you were in high school. Was music always in your blood?
I actually started out thinking I was going to be a watercolor, a painter, artist. And I just had an epiphany moment one day, and music always spoke to me. Like I remember when I was growing up, my brothers and sisters would listen to a certain kind of music, and I was always the different one. I would listen to different stuff. So when I found reggae, it was like my little secret with my brothers and
Wow.
sisters. Like stay in my room and listen to Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and all of this stuff. And for me, it was like I had my own little thing. They were listening to Michael Jackson and the Commodores and whatever the pop music of the day. But reggae was with me since like maybe I don't know, fourth grade, fifth grade.
Wow. So it
Yeah.
was instilled in you. And then now before that, we got to do all the local things. So those that are watching, where you from? What high school you went?
Okay, I went to Maui High School. I'm from Haiku, Maui, which is on the North
Oh,
Shore. If you know
beautiful.
where Hokipa is and Jaws, the biggest
Uh-huh.
rideable wave in Hawaii, besides Waimea,
Uh-huh.
I'm like you can throw a rock and hit that driveway from my house. I'm right up the road from Jaws. I went to Maui High School, graduated in 1987,
I
and then I
love
went
it.
to University of Hawaii Maui campus,
That's
and
right.
then I quit all of that because radio called me.
See?
I was a radio disc jockey when I think I was 17 when I first started being on the radio here on Maui, and we did a reggae show here, which started as 1 hour, and then it went to 5 hours just on the weekends, and then I kind of switched around radio stations. Everybody kind of wanted me as the reggae professional, even though I was a kid. Everybody was like, "This guy's got the knowledge we need." And then I eventually left Maui, went to Oahu, and worked with your brother at 98.5 for a couple of years, and then I came back to Maui, was the program director of a radio station over here. And then I just, through all of that, I was writing songs and being a musician. So I kind of gave radio up to focus more on my music.
See, there's so many things and so many cultural aspects that I want to talk about as we get into this. So if you're joining us, this is Culturized. I'm sitting with known as Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador, Marty Dread. We're talking about growing up on Maui. I mean, which I'm totally jealous right now. If you guys can see what he's looking at, is amazing. But coming up on this next break, you talked about your first reggae show, and I'm gonna tell you guys, just imagine this. I'm in high school, Lahaina Luna High School. I'm living in the dorms, and we would gather around. At that time, we knew that the reggae show was coming on. and we would gather in somebody's room and we would just, dude, it was crazy. So if you're joining us, we're going to talk about that and how much we fell in love with reggae music via Marty Dread right here on Culturized.
Bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser digital full access subscription for just $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHITHING.
Long's Drugs is always here for Hawaii, providing your family with their local favorites, accessible health and wellness services to keep you safe and healthy. Make Long's a part of your day.
What's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome to Culturized. It is me, McCunny. I am so humbled and privileged to be sitting, not just a guest, but a very good friend. I told you earlier, my first time seeing him was in '86, and then all through high school, when I found out, he mentioned it earlier, this reggae show he had on Maui. What was it called?
The Ko'oi Reggae Radio Show.
That's right. Every night, Lahaina Luna Borders, we would gather around and we would find the person that had the best sound system, and we would just pile ourselves in the room, and we would just be blown away by, because it wasn't just the music. You were sharing stories. You were really, because I remember at the time reggae was growing and it was huge. It was just about the music, but what I loved about that show was you were educating people that it was more than just the music, because there's a lifestyle that goes with it.
True. And also I think part of that radio show's phenomenon was that a lot of people only knew a couple of reggae artists. They knew Bob Marley, they knew Gregory Isaacs, they knew Bunny Wailer, but the genre has so many artists, and I was breaking all these artists and telling their stories as well. And, a lot of those artists became huge stars via that radio show in Hawaii, because nobody really knew them until the radio started playing them.
See, that's what I wanted to, I mean, you there's a lot of credit to not only yourself that became an international star, but a lot of these reggae groups via your show. The general population, if you want to call it that, was you introduced the general population to reggae. Is it fair to say, I mean, at the time in the mid 80s, you were like the only reggae show even nationally?
It was the only one all across the state. I mean, some people had little pieces of, like, they could get a half an hour here and there where they could specialize in reggae, but our show was definitely the only one in the States at the time that was strictly reggae music. And it was a free format back in, it wasn't like you load all those songs in the computer. Yeah. We can actually pick sets. Let's say there's a rainbow, you pick all the songs that are about rainbows, and it was this radio was just a different animal back then. And for me, the joy of it really was to be able to bring this, because back then it was a new music to a lot of people. Yeah. So I got to bring this music. I mean, I would go on excursions to get records and bring them back to the station and be able to say, man, here's the new song by so and so, and people would be like, and everyone would call in and they would write letters and make dedications, and it was very
interactive,
like a give and take between the audience, because they felt very part of it.
And that's what I loved about it, because I laughed because now you're totally making me reminisce, because I remember sitting in our rooms and we would all write down every time you would say, well, wait, what was the artist again? What song was that? Because literally we had this really weird thing. I don't know why I know why we had it, but it was weird. Every one or two Sundays a month, we'd have this thing called dance practice, because we had a dance, right? And we'd go out, and it was either at Borders Field or the gym, and we'd bring out the stereo system. And it was literally, if you were underclassmen, the upperclassmen would want to teach you how to dance, right?
Okay.
I learned how to skank.
I would do anything to see that video.
No, it was, I clearly remember, because I was a freshman, like, oh, we get dance practice. I'm like, dance practice? Because we would have annual dances, and they wanted to make sure that Borders knew how to dance. And we would always have this entire music block of reggae. Okay. And I remember they would literally be like, who knows how to skank? Go over there. Who doesn't? Go over there. And
let's teach you.
Yeah. And that's where we used to come up. We'd listen to you, all the songs, and then we tried to figure out how to get those songs. Hey, does anybody know Marty? Call Marty. Get those songs.
Back then also, it's actually a good thing to note that back then we had actual record stores. And I would make sure that if a hit was created, let's say it was Frankie Paul, Hard Work, well, I had to make sure that that record was stocked in the stores, because if it became a runaway hit, like Maccabee Squeeze Me, for instance, that song was so popular on my radio station, the stores couldn't even keep that record in stock. So I would work with Odell from Pacific Hawaiian Distribution and people like that to make sure that people could actually go and physically buy it, like Jellies on Oahu. I used to go to Jellies every week, and they would pick my brain. What is that one song you played, like the reggae version of La Isla Bonita? Everyone's calling about that. So I would have to tell them, and then they would go order it, because people would come into the store and buy it. Now it's like all on iTunes, right? But this is before the digital era.
So you were truly, when did that, when we come back from this break, when did you get that moniker, Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador? Because you truly were. Share that with us.
I'll tell you that whole story. I'll tell you the whole story on the next break.
If you're joining us on Culturized, man, I'm loving this. We're sitting with Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador. We'll find out when he got that. This is Marty Dread right here in Culturized. Air and Sea Travel Center, best group tours throughout the world. Let's go travel and see the world to make beautiful memories. Call 808-951-9800 today. At Aloha Kia, you know a guy. Visit them at any of their 7 dealerships statewide. Purchase a brand new Kia using Aloha Kia Express at alohakia.com. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome back to Culturized. I am humbled, privileged to be sitting with Hawaii reggae royalty. That's what I like to say. Not only the fact that I'm privileged enough to call you friend. We've worked together. You know, I think he's amazing, and the first guy when I think reggae, I was, for the longest time doing this, I'm thinking, okay, I want to get into the culture of reggae and the lifestyle that surrounds it. And of course, you're always my go-to. And I got to be honest, I was hoping that my bosses would send me to Maui. But we gotta love technology today. But we're talking with Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador. When did that come about?
How did that become my name?
Yes.
Well, like we spoke about earlier, I was sort of an advocate for all these Jamaican artists to get to Hawaii, because through the radio station, they would have hit songs. And then people would tour here, like Toots and the Maytals, Steel Falls, Black Uhuru. They all had big hits here. So this became part of their touring route. They never played here before. But in the 80s, all of a sudden, we were creating hits for these artists that would come here. And I was the guy, because I was the radio guy. I met them at the airport. So every single reggae artist that came here, I met them at the airport. I would cut coconuts for them and get them whatever screen stuff they wanted. You know, got them mangoes and fruits and stuff. But all of the Jamaican artists, when they would tell each other back home in Jamaica, oh, you're going to Hawaii, make sure Marty, you see Marty. So I became sort of the ambassador to that genre of music through the radio station. And I would greet everybody at the airport and take them around, carry them to sound check. If somebody, I have a great story about Jimmy Cliff. Jimmy Cliff came here during Hurricane Hugo, which was a huge hurricane in late 80s, early 90s. And I had to drive him around to Long's and Foodland and all these stores, and he was getting non-perishable foods like popcorn and sardines that he could send back to his people in Jamaica, because he was on tour. So it was very much like I was being his guide, but also he would pick my brain, like, what's the cheapest way to send this stuff via post? And I got to spend all this really good one-on-one time with Toots and the Maytals, Jimmy Cliff, Ziggy Marley. Every time the Marleys would come here, it would be me that picked them up at the airport. To this day, if you ask Damian Marley or Julian Marley, any of them, I used to take money out of my pocket and get a limousine and pick them up. And they're like, did the promoter get this? I know, bro, this is me. I did this for you folks. So they would always remember. And when they'd come back, they'd be like, wait, where's Marty? Where's my limo?
See that, and that is one of the things about you. And I don't know if it's just a Maui thing, right? And but it's like you talked about. There's so many of these international stars and musicians that come to Hawaii. Nobody was like you. You would go out of your way, because that's just who you what you did. You're gonna take care of them. It's not this, hey, come play and I'll get you your hotel and do this. But they became your friends. They became family, and like that. It's like who can say, oh yeah, to go take Jimmy Cliff Long's go buy sardines, right? Who can
Exactly.
say that,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, the Marleys denied my limo I got for them. I want to jump in your Jeep, Marley. You know what I
But
mean?
it's a blessing in such a big way because imagine seeing Hawaii for the first time. You're making reggae in Jamaica for the world. You tour England, you tour South America. Never been to something as beautiful as Hawaii. Jamaica is very beautiful, but Hawaii, as you know, the culture of Hawaii, the music, the food, the dancing, this is all a huge spectacle for these people. So for me to be able to take them to the beach, like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna go to Hokipa now and show you this is where they started windsurfing, or we roll into Paia and they get a fish sandwich. It's just like for me to be able to show these people, and imagine what it did for my credibility on this island. People see me walking around with Black Uhuru. They're like, "Well, Marty's hanging out with Shaggy. Like Shaggy and Marty just walked into Star Market or whatever." So it was a good thing. It was a wonderful thing.
I always think that you need to do. There's got to be a class. I mean, you can't teach that to other promoters that are bringing these people in today. That's what's missing. I think a lot of is just the true lifestyle, which I want to get into as well, because that's what I love about reggae music compared to other genres. There's a lifestyle that goes with it. I want to get
Yes.
a little bit into that too as well. If you're joining us, this is Culturized. We're sitting and we're talking the culture of reggae and everything that surrounds it with Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador Marty Dread on Culturized.
For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit hificu.com.
Windows Hawaii. Windows are not only designed to beautify your home, but also to make your home more secure, energy efficient, and virtually noise-proof. Contact Mario now for your free in-home estimate. 808-671-0808.
Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, welcome back to Culturized. If you're watching us on KITV, thank you so much for doing that. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, let me just set the tone for you. Marty Dread is with me right now, Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador, sitting on the most beautiful island. I'm a little bit biased, on Maui. And I'm sitting in the island that has the most concrete, Oahu. But we're talking about the lifestyle and the culture of reggae and how big it is. And I like to say that you brought it to Hawaii. You brought it to a whole new level because there's a lifestyle that goes with this music. You think of hip hop, right? There's a little bit of a lifestyle that goes with hip hop music,
Yeah.
but reggae is not just something. It's not a fad, in other words. And you've made it. It's your life. When did reggae music and the lifestyle of reggae, for example, the dreadlocks, right? When did that all come into play with you? The lifestyle.
Well, when I was in high school, I used to listen to a lot of reggae. Like I said, I found it very early in life. And there was a Bob Marley album called Natty Dread, Natty, Natty Dread. And when I would go surfing, my hair was an afro back then. It would be like out like that. And people say, that looks like the Natty Dread cover. So they started calling me that
Oh,
long before I had dreadlocks. So my classmates in Maui High dubbed me Marty Dread because it
no
sounded like
way.
Natty Dread,
Uh-huh.
right? And I didn't grow dreads until like my senior year in high school. But it was in my heart so deep. I mean, I had every Bob Marley record, I had every Peter Tosh, every Bunny Wailer. By the time I graduated high school, I was a full-blown aficionado of the culture.
I love that. And that's what always impressed me about you, because there's not a lot of people that can, you can say dedicate your life to something, but you made it your life. You made it your lifestyle. For those that don't understand what the concept of dreadlocks within the reggae culture, and there's a religion that goes with it as well, right?
It's more of a lifestyle than a religion, but I'll try and give you a brief synopsis of it. It all begins with plantation slavery. Africans were taken from Africa to the West to grow sugarcane and cotton and all this stuff. And Christianity was used as a mechanism to tame these people. It was like, you forget you're Yoruba or you're from Senegal, you are a Christian American now, or a Christian Jamaican.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what happened was, because of that suppression of their indigenous cultures, they had to find a way to have a sense of identity. I'm speaking of the African
Mm-hmm.
diaspora,
Yeah.
the Black people that lived abroad,
Mm-hmm.
away from Africa. So some people in Jamaica around 1930 found some lineage in the Bible that Marcus Garvey, who was a Pan-Africanist, he said that a king would be crowned in Africa who would be our redeemer. And then they went to everybody read their Bibles, and they said, wow, this guy, Haile Selassie from Ethiopia, who's here on my shirt, actually,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
riding the white horse. The story goes, in the Bible, there was a lot of biblical references that linked up with his name. His name is Ras Tafari, which means head creator.
Wow.
But his title was King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. And I think Africans who are looking to find their identity away from Christianity and away from Catholicism and all the dogma of Western religion, they found in themselves an actual Black redeemer. And most reggae was spawned of ska and mento and
Mm-hmm.
jazz. But the
Interesting.
Rastafarians played a huge role in the development of Jamaican music, because people think all reggae is Rasta, and it's not
Mm.
true. Some of the best singers and songwriters from Jamaica are not Rasta at all. Ken Booth, Alton Ellis, name it, there's millions of them. They have nothing to do with the Rastafarian religion. But the Rastas, because of Bob Marley primarily, Bob Marley was the big catapult. He was such an international phenomenon that it took root all over the world. And now you have people in Japan with dreadlocks, people in South America with dreadlocks. There's Africans, there's Maoris with dreadlocks, there's reggae bands and culture all over the world. The best example I can say of how far reggae has spread is there is a sound system, which is a turntablist. They're DJs, but they play all reggae music.
Mm-hmm.
They're from Yokohama, Japan. They're called, why is their name slipping right now? A Mighty Crown. They're a sound system. And they pack stadiums, 20,000 people, 30,000 people, just spinning reggae music on turntables. And the guy is out there saying, this is, the new song from Egyptian or whatever. So, I mean, it's really far. It's gone far from Bob Marley to all that.
Wow. That is some knowledge you just dropped. Can I keep you for a little while? This is what I want to do. I want to do an extended version on YouTube. If you're joining us on KITV right now, do me a favor, jump over to YouTube. We're going to keep Marty Dread right here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the culture of reggae music and the lifestyle that surrounds it right here on Culturized. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome back to Culturized. If you're joining us on YouTube, hit all those things that you need to do to validate my existence. Subscribe, notification bell, all those things, because I want to get back into this. We are having an amazing conversation. Reggae music in Hawaii has always been a part of Hawaii. It's whether you like just the music, the lifestyle, everything about it. And a lot of times we don't really know. Marty Dread is with me, and he just dropped some Ike bomb, some knowledge on us about it. And that's what I love about you. Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador, he's not just the musician. He's not just a writer. That's his life. It's his lifestyle. We talked about, obviously, one of the obvious things, dreads. I mean, like you said, from Bob Marley all the way to Yokohama, Japan. Reggae has been spreading around the world. But I like the fact that you said not all reggae artists are Rasta.
It's very true.
I love that story about Haile Selassie and the fact of Rastafari, because a lot of people like to pick and choose different parts of reggae, right?
Sure. Well, there's a lot to pick from.
Yeah, it's okay. So, and here's another one that everybody really likes to choose from, and choose of reggae music. It's always, people think it's synonymous, ganja, pakalolo, marijuana. How did that come about? Why is it synonymous?
It's synonymous because of musicians like Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, who were advocates, saying that this plant was put on earth for the use of man. It wasn't put here so that we could all get locked up because we smoke it, right? So those musicians were the most popular ones, the ones with the big record deals. So their agenda, because they were Rastafarians, the concept is, there's some quotations in the Bible like the seeds of the earth were for the use of man and things like that. So they saw it as their birthright to be able to use this to commune with God. They don't smoke to get high. They smoke to have a better communication with spiritual realms.
Say that again.
So smoking weed should not be criminalized. The Rastas saw it as a way to commune with the higher spiritual forces. So, but as it became popular, there's a lot of people that take edibles and just want to get high. But for the Rastafarian, like the real Rastas, I'm not talking the fashion dreads that you see walking through Waikiki. I'm talking the real Rastas. The ones that are vegetarian, they don't drink alcohol, they stay out of the nightclubs. The real Rastas, their use of marijuana is different than getting high. It's more of a spiritual communion. And it's all biblical, and that's how they see it from a religious aspect. So now reggae music has been so, I hate to use this word, but bastardized. There's so many branches of reggae. Let's break that down. In England, you have lovers rock. It's predominantly a romantic art form, lovers rock. And then you have like the new American Cali roots thing. And a lot of the topics is drinking, chasing girls, getting high, a lot of weed songs, a lot of weed songs. But they're not living that lifestyle. They have learned that from listening to all these vintage reggae albums. It's a lifestyle that they have adopted. You have people like Matisia, who is an Orthodox Jewish brother who has a reggae career. So he latched onto the lifestyle. He just so happened to have a skill set that he could adapt his religious views into this musical genre. So it's so far spread now. There's so many kinds of reggae. You have dancehall, you have bashment, you have lovers rock, you have dub, you have all these different branches, but the root is Jamaican reggae. The root of all of it. I mean, all these people that are like the Drake and like Drake, Rihanna, even Alicia Keys, they're playing dancehall now. The reggae dancehall, which is the sort of the modern sound of Jamaica. Like Beanie Man and Sean Paul, they play dancehall. Even people like Ed Sheeran and Justin Bieber, they play dancehall now. A lot of their songs, when you hear it, you go, listen to Shape of You. That's a straight dancehall song by Ed Sheeran. Straight dancehall.
Yeah.
Justin Bieber, sorry. That could, if you put Beanie Man on that rhythm, it would be a regular dancehall song in Jamaica. So a lot of them, I mean, Afro beats is becoming more prominent, but even Afro beats, if you listen to Afro beats, it's dancehall from Jamaica, but with their lingo. Is what it is. It's really what it is.
Interesting. See, it's that, and the reason why I wanted you on, because not just to make sense, but to educate, and now people know, like you said, because originally I would hear reggae when I first started. I loved it because there was always some kind of socially conscious message. Right. I'm not sure if I it was just me, but I didn't get that part of the whole smoking and you know, I knew they were synonymous, but for me it was profound that they could take some trauma that was going on within their community, whatever, and put it into music that sounded very good and really good, but tell a story.
It's like the newspaper in Jamaica. Anything that's going on politically, socially, you hear it in songs. So it's much like the newspaper in Jamaica.
And that's the part I love about it. And speaking of which, now we come to your career, which the facets, the multifacets of your career, reggae artist. But this is what I love. I've turned my son on to your kids' reggae album.
Oh, nice one.
It's. I mean, you've done country, Walking in Kingston.
Yeah, Upcountry Boy is the name of that album.
Just what is the mindset behind that? Looking at different genres of music, but doing it in your own style.
Well, I've always been sort of outside the box kind of music lover. For instance, when my brothers and sisters would be growing up listening to Michael Jackson, I was listening to like Glenn Campbell, Rhinestone Cowboy,
Right.
or Paul Simon, 50
No
Ways to
way.
Leave Your Lover. And they were like, what is this song, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover?
I
by
would have
Paul
never
Simon?
thought.
But I loved that kind of stuff when I was a kid. So I have a record called Upcountry Boy, which is a collection of my mom and dad's vinyls. They had vinyl in the house, right? So I cherry picked all my favorite songs. Have You Ever Seen the Rain by Creedence? Love the One You're With by Stephen Stills. Walking in Memphis. Still the One by Orleans. You know that song, right?
Yes.
Kyle Crater Boys covered it. Still the one that turns me on. So I picked all my favorite ones, and I went to Jamaica and I recorded like the quintessential reggae covers album that no one had. Like UB40 didn't even cover any of these songs. None of them.
Yeah, I know.
Like how do you go from 300 songs down to 12 that not even UB40 has found? So that's how I get my kicks with music. Like covering Walking in Kingston, for instance, Walking in Memphis. It's a piano ballad. It's a slow piano ballad. I made it into an up-tempo ska dance song. So that's what I cover like Bad Company, Ready for Love. People go, who would cover this in reggae music? You're like, really? But somehow it works.
And that's what I mean. It's like it's these songs that are familiar to us. When you hear it in the Marty Dread style, it's still familiar, but now you like it I prefer it in like if I hear walking in Memphis, I'm not saying Memphis. I'm saying right. When I hear when the washing machine is broken, I'm not hearing.
Oh yeah. That's another day in paradise.
Yeah,
it's another country song too.
That's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of you. And that's what I appreciate about it, because you've also got to perform also on the level. You are an international superstar. I do have to ask you, how did the Willie Nelson connection happen?
I don't know if you know this, but Willie Nelson has a home here.
Yeah, because he has a bar, right? As well.
What?
Doesn't he have a bar or?
No, he doesn't own a bar here.
Okay,
that's a myth. It's not his bar. He used to play there a lot, but it's not his bar. So we had in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was Hurricane Iniki. A lot of like traumatic things happened here in Hawaii. And he's one of those people that would always be there for the people. He would do a benefit concert for an earthquake, the victims of the tidal wave in Japan, or the hurricane benefit. And I also play a lot of those same shows. So he saw me play several times. I saw him, he saw me. And so one day, him and Chris Christopherson, who's like the iconic songwriter with Willie Nelson, they're in the audience watching my band go through our set. And our set was about like the geothermal protests on the Big Island, where they're trying to cut down the last low-lying rainforest. And my band has got some very socially conscious songs, because we take a page out of the book of Jamaicans. We want to talk about our community. I can't talk about apartheid in South Africa in my songs because I don't know it. I don't live it. So him and Chris Christopherson and Willie walked up to me after the show and said, "You know what I like about your band? You talk about your community and the things that this generation is going through, which is much like what we did when we were doing this in the 70s and the 60s." So Chris Christopherson said, we should do something together someday. So Chris Christopherson played harmonica and sang on my first album in 1994. And then fast forward 10 years, I bumped into Willie again after another concert. And he said something similar, like, if you ever want to make a record with me or whatever, let's do it. So I wrote a song, and it was right when the Gulf War had just broke out. I call it Bush War 2.
Right.
When that war broke out, I went home and wrote this song called Take No Part with Sly and Robbie. And I asked Willie to play on it. And ever since that day, we've had a great musical relationship. I just played with him at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center 2 weeks ago. He's taken me to Farm Aid. I've been all over the country with him. Toured the whole nation with Willie Nelson as his opening act.
I love that. Maui boy haiku becomes starts the love of reggae. Hawaii, the nation's first reggae show. You turn into Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador. You become not only the musician you are, this huge international superstar. You're playing along with with Willie and all these bands. It's an amazing testament that what people say, oh, you're from Hawaii, but look at Marty Dread. You're going to continue to do these things. Is it ever going to stop?
Most definitely. Nah. Even when my dreads fall out, I'll still be doing it.
I tell you what.
I gotta say though, it's almost like I don't like to look at myself as an opportunist necessarily, but I find that I seize the moment when I see Junior Reed or someone walking into a venue, and I get to talk to them, and I get to actually present myself like, hey, I've got a recording studio up the road. Would you like to listen to the song? Maybe we can do it. The best example of taking your career by the horns. Do you remember the artist Ocean from Papua New Guinea? Yeah. Remember him?
Yeah.
When he was really popular in Honolulu, he had a #1 song in Tahiti. He was the #1 artist in the South Pacific at that time. It was like 2003, I guess. Anyway, he had a big concert down there, and I knew that he was going there, and the band that he plays with is the band that I would work with on Oahu, Red Degree.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I said,
yeah,
hey, if I was, it just so happens, I said to his manager, if I was in Tahiti, could I open for Ocean at this concert? And they said, yeah, if you're there, jump on the bus with us, come to our hotel. So I wasn't going to Tahiti. I just happened to have a friend who had miles from Hawaiian Airlines. And I created a situation where I was in Tahiti while Ocean was there. And I opened the show. And then the following year, I had the #1 song in Tahiti. But that's just about taking initiative and creating a situation out of nothing.
But that's what I love about you. You're not an opportunity. Things just, because you're a positive, things are just going to happen because you and that's who you are. And that's what I love about it.
it's in your approach with human beings. It's like,
Yes.
if you're friendly and things are flowing, anything's possible.
Can I bring you back again?
Anytime.
You're a wealth of knowledge. I love when you share your mana'o and knowledge with us. If you're joining us on Culturize, the Hawaii's Reggae Ambassador, Marty Dread, is sitting with me, my good friend, but we're going to bring him back again. But thank you for making time on your beautiful
Anytime,
day
bro.
in Maui. I will see you soon.
You want to take a quick view of my yard real quick for your
Yes,
viewers?
show everybody. Let's
just
make
real
us
quick.
jealous real quick.
Just what you're missing out.
Haiku. Look at that. That's who has a yard like that anywhere? Marty
Lucky me.
Dread, I appreciate you, brother. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, brother. Aloha. Thanks for having me on.
Aloha.